Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Somewhat Damaged. I'm your host, Greg Alperin, and with me, as always, John B. This week, we welcome a triple threat, LA-based comedian, writer, and prolific dancer, Fahim Anwar. We talk a little pandy, Michael Jackson, writing for United States of Al on CBS, and how to best prepare a ribeye. Make sure to check out his Comedy Central special, There's No Business Like Show Business, his hysterical Instagram, and on tour in a city near you. Enjoy it. Anyway, how are you? How's the
Good, man. I'm sorry, what's that?
How's the writer's room?
It's good, It's different. It's like I just come from a world of just doing straight stand-up in the past and like an acting job here and there. So it's like way more sporadic.
Right.
And then there's like a break room and shit.
You got corporate
it's like
Fahim.
yeah, totally. Because like I used to work at Boeing back in the day, and there's a little bit of that. Like I have an office, I get a string cheese from the fridge, but instead of planes, it's like you're writing jokes for a show.
Yeah.
Right. What's the show?
United States of Al on CBS.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of timely now.
Yeah, man. What's crazy about it is like when it came out, it was already kind of like a high wire act
Sure.
with what's going on over there. And then with the pullout, it's just accelerated it. It's made it an even higher wire act.
And how's it played into like your writing on the show? And I mean, obviously your background, I mean, of your parents and it's your culture, right? So how does it play into how you're writing on the show and all of that?
I think that's why they brought in, some of the Afghan writers just for that perspective and to make it as honest as they can and for that area of expertise.
Sure.
Yeah, and like to the show's credit and everything with what's going on, they're trying to pivot and adjust to what's going on and address it, because if you didn't address it at all, it would just seem like incredibly tone deaf.
Totally.
Like if it was just hijinks
Yeah.
still. So trying to address what's going on with the situation, and yeah, it's been a good learning experience too, just because it's my first like TV sitcom writing gig.
Right. But you've done some reality stuff, right? Like didn't you write on some reality, or it's not reality, but sketches and sketches?
Yeah, sketch, but that's different. It's like a different workflow, because like the sketch show we did for Comedy Central was like a 1 hour sketch special, but that was just sort of porting over our workflow, because it was just me and my boys. We used to do YouTube sketch, and it was pretty much just that on steroids with like a production budget and everything.
Right.
But the workflow was the same.
I do have to ask a question. I mean, we talk about obviously the latest developments that are going on in Afghanistan, but when the show was slated to premiere, there was, our industry is a crab mentality. And there was a lot of hate around it, saying that it was going to be like this. It's this piece that's being done by CBS, and it's the idea of it is to kind of, pretend to the world that there's that there's nothing wrong, and that there's no racism in the world, and maybe that the comic relief was going to be too much on the immigrant part that's in the series. How'd that make you feel to see some of these comments? I mean, I know a bunch of comics that wrote some things, and I was like, can't we just celebrate that, like, somebody that was grinding through open mics and doing shows at 11:30 at night is doing something on national television?
Yeah, there's but no one really thinks about that. No one's looking at my journey to like write on the show. They just see this overall, and especially like woke Twitter and everything. I think people expect it to be the worst versions of what they imagine in their mind. So like before the show even premiered, it's like everyone was just like locked and loaded and had their fangs out. And I think what was refreshing for me working on it from the inside is like understanding everyone's intent, like the showrunner's intent on the show. And I think just we live in a world that's so quick to think people are at their worst. So that was kind of cool about working with the shows, knowing how hard they're trying to get it right and how hard they're trying to do good by Afghans and like also military folk. It's like a crazy Venn diagram that we have.
Sure.
It's about a Marine, and his interpreter in Afghanistan. And that relationship does exist, you know, like, because that's like a real thing.
Yeah, we're hearing the heartwarming stories right now about, you know, former Marines and Army personnel that are trying to get their friends out of Afghanistan, people that helped them on the ground, that fed them, that gave them a place to stay, that hid them. Yes, but it is funny that you bring up the woke Twitter, because, you know, at any case, if the right went after something that, you know, looked like lovable, it's almost that the woke Twitter does the same thing against something that they think is something kind of homogenized.
Yeah, I mean, like, people will find fault. Like, I'm sure there's military people who like have a problem with it. I'm sure there's Afghan people who have a problem with it. Like, the thing is, there's just so many layers to this, and I think an important takeaway, like, even me being Afghan American, I know there's some like Afghan Americans who want the most nuanced, gritty, like HBO show, and that's great, and that'd be great to see. I would love to see that as well. God bless you. But
Thanks.
you also have to remember that, like, this is a CBS sitcom, and you can only like scratch so deep given the medium, and you're trying to pull like middle America and people who wouldn't even bother to learn about the culture and introduce some new ideas in that regard.
To be honest,
And
CBS has been doing that. I mean, Gina Yashere has been writing
with that show.
I mean, it's great to kind of see that. There was that one show that CBS did about like God, like being the friend on social media. And I don't want to shit talk your own network right now, but that one is a little far-fetched. But I'm a fan of Madam Secretary. I watch Blue Bloods. I have Paramount. I have bought my own account, so I want to let everybody know that.
Yeah. But it's that thing, you kind of have to ask yourself, like, this is the first show, like, we have nothing as Afghans, like, in the TV space, really. So it's just such a watershed moment in that regard. And I think sometimes the Twitter generation and such, it's like they want it all or they want to burn it down. But I've been in the business long enough to know, like, we have a seat at the table now. Like, this is progress. Like, even the writer's room, like, there's Afghans in there. That's like, there's never been this many Afghans in a writer's room before. And that's progress. So it's just sort of like, I'm very much of the mentality of like, let's make step-by-step progress instead of like, it doesn't have everything I want. Let's tear down the Jenga tower.
Right.
How does it compare to, when you were doing stand-up, 7 nights a week to now working in a writer's room? Like, how are you able to balance that? Because I imagine you're working pretty rough hours and then going to the Comedy Store, different places to do, sets at night and late sometimes. Like, how do you find that balance between what could turn out to be, obviously it is an amazing opportunity and who knows where that leads, to doing your next hour special?
Yeah, I'm balancing the two. And also, I never really want to let go of stand-up. People have different trajectories and wants and desires out of their career. Some guys just do stand-up long enough to get the writing job, and then they just disappear in the room and they're happy. Like, they just wanted to use stand-up as a springboard to like get on in that regard and have a career. But like, I've been doing stand-up for so long that I never want to lose that arm. So I've been it's a balancing act because I don't have all the free time in the world like I used to.
Right.
So I'm just a little more methodical with my time.
Right.
And also COVID taught me to like ease up a little bit, because I was doing sometimes 2-3 spots a night in LA. And I learned with COVID, I'm like, what am I learning? Like, that's a great mentality to have when you first start out doing stand-up, because you're a sponge and you're soaking up all this information. But like, where I'm at, doing 3 spots a night, the delta of what I'm gaining isn't worth what I'm taking a hit personal life wise. And I can do 1 spot a night, or I can be off 2 or 3 nights and still be fine. So just being a little more precious with my time. I don't have to do every show.
Sure. So that means that Fahim is what's your 100 guarantee now? 150 a spot now, I guess, something along those lines.
Well, LA and New York is so different.
I am not doing the belly room whatsoever.
Not like the store is my baseline. I put my avails in Monday, and that's kind of the backbone of my week. And then I'll like, if somebody hits me up to do some other show, I'll take it on as I can. But like, the store's my home club, and usually that's even enough.
Right.
And I'll just see if I can add more to my plate throughout the week.
Yeah. I mean,
But I'm still getting up, like I'll still get up maybe four nights a week, 5 nights a week.
and it's a lot. I mean, I tell John all the time, like I was lucky enough to spend a lot of time in Southern California and at the store a lot. And, I always loved seeing shows that you were on the lineup because I knew that was going to be 15 minutes of pure, if I was going to guarantee where I was going to laugh, it was going to be one of those 15-minute spots that you were.
Oh, that's nice, man. Thanks, man. No, let him go, dude. This is why bros don't give each other compliments enough, because we get shamed, dude.
So I'm glad to hear that you're not dipping out of.
Yeah, that's really cool. You do these spots at the store and stuff, and you never know. I had no idea you're in the crowd watching, and that's kind of nice to hear that you saw it and enjoyed it. Yeah.
I really just to give you that compliment, knowing John was going to do a blowjob thing in the background.
Yeah, that's me though. That's me. I'm just a dick.
Forever. So it was kind of like a setup.
No, but you bring up a great point. Is that the idea? And I heard a comic, Lev Fair, said this to a comedian that they're like, "Can you believe he said this?" And I actually said to myself, "Yeah." He says, it's not about quantity. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily have to go out and do every single mic. You don't have to go out and do 30 spots a night. You have to do what makes you think, and that what makes you kind of grow as a person and as a comic. I think there are sometimes that in New York, we just get inside this bubble. I mean, Aaron Berg had a special called 25 Sets. It's the most sets ever done in New York City in one night. But then you see these comics that are running around that are brand new, and they're just telling the same 5 haggard, minutes, but they're not adding any tags. They're not trying to, make it better. And then I had that conversation, and I'm the only reason I'm going to name drop is for our listeners, but Matthew Broussard is very, and we've talked about this before, he's very systematic on how he writes his jokes. Like, it comes down all the way to a spreadsheet. So he kind of utilizes that. Do you find yourself that you go for shows that you could probably try brand new stuff, or do you kind of want to work into it and kind of do an honest opener that is going to work, and then kind of weave in your newer stuff?
Yeah, I'll always start with a joke that I know works, just to kind of get a temperature of the room, so that way I know as a baseline, like if it's like dog shit off of like a pretty tried and true opener, then I know that whatever data I collect is going to be a little wonky. But if it has a nice pop, then I'm like, okay, this is like an honest crowd. And it just, for me, what I am at a point in my career now where I value trying new stuff, or like new material type shows, or shows where I can mentally take the leap to try new stuff. Like if it's like a younger comics workout show somewhere, or I'm popping on and I'm like one of the bigger guys on the lineup, like I'll try a lot of new stuff on that.
Right.
But if it's Friday or Saturday main room, or Friday, Saturday OR, I don't feel comfortable enough to weaving a bunch of new stuff in there, because for me, it's like higher stakes because of who I'm on the bill with, and they're paying 2 drinks. They got a babysitter. There's like a level of show. So I don't really try a bunch of new stuff.
I actually thought about that a couple of months ago, and I encourage comics on the Stand Up New York stage to kind of try new stuff, just because I have, especially on Fridays and Saturdays, because there's a consistent audience. Right now with COVID in our pandemic, I don't have a lot of tourists. Do you know what I mean? I'm getting a lot of the same people. I always hear, and maybe there's an avant-garde maybe in the Upper West Side when it comes down to comedy, but I will get comments that be like, I love so-and-so comic, but that was the same set that I saw the last time that I was there. So I almost kind of like the idea that comics are trying stuff. And is there maybe a difference between why I feel that in New York and why you kind of do it out in Los Angeles?
I mean, for me, it's like a fresh audience every time, and in like the Comedy Store, it's such a tourist hub, Sunset Boulevard and all that. So it's like a new audience every time. And when I'm doing a Friday or Saturday, it's like I'm doing my newest tried and true. So I'm like tightening the screws less. Like I'm still tightening them, but because they're already pretty polished, it's like a different type of writing. Like then it's more about tags. Then it's just like, it's more of a refinement. for Friday, Saturday. But I love if I like, I don't want to do a ton of new stuff on a Friday, Saturday, because you're going to burn an audience. Like they don't have enough goodwill to go with you. Whereas if I want to take that kind of creative leap, I would tell the Comedy Store, because sometimes I would do that. I would want to try a bunch of new stuff. And I would tell Adam when he was booking the store, I would say, give me a later time slot on Tuesday or Wednesday in the OR, because it's a very different energy at 12:30 a.m. than if you're at 10:30 p.m. or like 11 in the OR. It's a different show every 15 minutes. People leave.
Right.
So when it's just kind of like a vibe and a hang, I love just like going off my phone and throwing out all these ideas that I just had like in the last week or two.
Right. Have you been able to weave anything from your act into the show as well? I sometimes see that with comedians on Saturday Night Live. I will know, what somebody's bits are, and I will see them kind of try to weave it into a weekend update thing, or I'll hear the joke on a sketch. Have you been able to do that?
It hasn't been that like one for one, because we're writing to a story or something. I'm like kind of quick in that way, I'll just think of an idea for what we're talking about. I don't have like a set piece that I want to put into the show.
I do. Can I call one?
Sure.
You got to get the pigeon piece into the show. You got to.
Yeah, I just don't know if the writer's room works that way. Like, hey guys, I have this fully formed stand-up bit. Have Al say it.
Come on.
We'll have him walk by a pigeon, and then he does this 4-minute stand-up bit where no one else talks.
Not even that. Don't even just touch on the Afghan crisis going on right now. Just do a 4-part series on the fucking pigeon.
Yeah,
bits.
I'm gonna take your advice and have that for the season opener, and we'll just get torn apart. People go,
oh, watch you get all the Emmys, baby.
Yeah, an Emmy with 3 M's. It's like a off-brand Emmy.
Did you, like, when you came up with that bit, was that from like observing pigeons, or did it just like hit you one day? Like pigeons are.
Yeah, I lived in K-Town and there were a lot of pigeons, so I would see them every day.
Right.
And then like I literally did see a pigeon take the stairs, and that just was like so funny to me that like he could fly, and I was just watching this pigeon who's so tiny but just decide to hop down them.
That's so fucking great. I'm sorry. I just die at that.
The pigeon did all the work for me.
So
I just relayed it.
I am curious about like now with the store and the audit, because I haven't been since the whole pandemic and they reopened. So how is it different now with the audiences, since it is definitely less tourists and so much of the lineups have changed with guys now living in Nashville and Austin? Like how's that vibe of the store changed and audiences?
Yeah, I mean, you didn't realize you were living in this like pinnacle moment of the store in its timeline until like, you don't know until you have hindsight. And it's obviously it's not as hot as it was with those like Tuesday night lineups and stuff like pre-pandemic with like Rogan and Burr and all these guys. But it's still like a happening place.
Yeah, of course.
Like, yeah, the main room will be sold out, the OR. But it's just like scaled back a little bit.
Right.
But it's you don't know what the factors are though too, because like there's still like a huge appetite for live comedy, because I think music is just starting to come back. Yeah, so it's definitely not as hot as pre-pandemic,
right,
but it's still thriving.
Yeah. I mean, it seems it. I mean, it just, when you looked at those lineups a year and a half ago,
They were insanity.
It was crazy. Like,
but they're still pretty good. Like the other day was like Jesselnick, Theo, Bobby, Whitney. So they're still getting, but it's just like it's not like every day like it was at the store.
Yeah,
sure. You just going back to the writers' room now. You're working in CBS. You're working in LA, writing. You go through the little gate and everything. What's the one thing that you're getting right now that you like? Wow. Do you have like an assistant? Do you have like a parking spot that you're like, oh, this is pretty fucking cool?
Yeah, I've got a parking spot and it's got my name stenciled on it. This is like F. Anwar. I parked there. Yeah, you get lunches and stuff, and there's like coffee runs, and then
do you abuse the PAs like Ellen did?
Nah, I feel like I would hope that stand-ups have more of a heart, just because I feel like we get treated like shit longer than any other entertainer, so that you can sympathize with people who are like just getting their start. You would think, or that's how I am. And I feel like I'm a guy who's my career's been such a slow burn that I'm so grateful for the position I'm in as of late, that I'm never like people who get it quick can be the divas.
Right.
Because
I mean,
they think that's how life is. That's just all they know.
But like, I mean, you gotta an intern has to know what your coffee order is, so when you come in the morning, like it's like ready for you. I mean, come on.
Yeah, sure, but they just text the text chain. They go, what coffee order? And you
See, I want that shit ready on my desk, ready to go. Let's line a blow right next to it. Let's fucking go, baby.
If it was the '80s, maybe.
That's for sure.
That was me on Thursday.
What lot is it on? Where you guys film?
Warner Brothers.
Oh, it's on Warner's lot. Have you been to the Smokehouse across the street?
Of course, man. This guy knows his lots.
So I took John to that when we were in town in July, and I've been talking about the steak sandwiches for like so long, and finally I'm like, we got to go, and we went. And how many steak sandwiches did we order? And
we ordered 2 steak sandwiches, which was fantastic. The fries, cream spinach. And then we had dessert. We recorded a podcast in the back room with Randy Valerio. Oh man! But the age, the demo in that room, on at 3:00 on a what day was it, on a Thursday or so? Like I wouldn't expect that I was anywhere. Like honestly, it felt like a nursing home. But the food was so fucking good over there.
Yeah, it's old Hollywood. You know what I mean? I heard this tidbit because the EPs and like some of the writers who've been around for a while have all this like lot knowledge and stuff. They were saying that they used to shoot ER on the Warner Brothers lot. Yep. And so George Clooney was there all the time. And he would go over to the Smokehouse so much that he named his production company Smokehouse. Yeah. So like Smokehouse Production is that's George Clooney's.
Yeah. And he has a little George Clooney booth and all that shit over there.
He does? Yeah. You didn't fucking show me that shit. Meanwhile, when I go to LA, I just want to be cool, so I go to Nobu and Malibu and shit like that.
You go to cool things from 5 years ago.
Oh, listen to the fucking burn.
I'm glad I didn't.
I go to Maestro's too in Malibu. Come on.
Yeah. That was a foodie burn, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I spent the height of the pandemic actually in Los Angeles for a month in November. I was out in Los Angeles, and I was kind of taken aback about how much shit has kind of like closed down in that West Hollywood area. Was there anything that shut down, that you're missing that like was lost in the pandemic? Any good food spots?
Swingers shut down, but then it's opened back up. But for a period, that was kind of a trip. Like, oh man, because that was the spot almost every comic went to after their sets. So that shutting down, and then Greenblatt's just shut down recently.
No, it didn't. Did it really?
Yeah, right by the Laugh Factory.
Yeah, get out of town. Like half liquor store, half deli.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one spot that I want. I mean, I've been. Was there anything that you missed in particular that you went like when Newsom reopened everything? Was there anything that you ran to kind of do?
Not really. I mean, I just missed stand-up when that was shut down. And then
Did you do any stand-up during the pandemic?
Well, there were different phases. Like, okay, everything was shut down at the beginning, right?
Right.
And then they started doing outdoor stuff. So outdoor shows were sprouting up all over LA. And I was doing a lot of those, and that was fine for me. Like, I was fine off of the outdoor shows. And then they shut down again. So then that sucked. And I had the writing job. I got the writing job over the pandemic. So it was all over Zoom. So I'd basically Zoom by day, and then my nights and weekends would suck. And I just missed stand-up so much. And then I saw this Instagram post, like this Kill Tony post. It was like, it said sold out. And it was Anton's. And it just like fucked with my brain. I'm like, this is going on in an alternate universe. Right. And then the wheel started turning. I'm like, why can't I be out there? My job is on Zoom. So then I was like, I'm going to get an apartment out there while I wait out what's going on here in LA. And I'll just do stand-up at night in Austin. So then I went out there for like 2 months.
You're listening to another episode of the Somewhat Damaged podcast, part of the Storic Media Podcast Network and brought to you by Corona Premiere, now available on Draft.
So you were in Austin for 2 months, just working and being just doing your Zoom stuff and doing stand-up at the same time.
Yeah. So
Any
I'm doing
close
shows
calls?
around there.
How was Austin? Like, how is Austin in the, obviously all the guys who are living down there now,
They fucking cured COVID fucking before everyone down there.
Yeah. They don't have it out there.
yeah, it doesn't exist. But how is it? Like, is it different? Like, what's the whole vibe of the Austin's known as a music city, right? And now it's
Yeah, I think there is a big appetite for comedy. They're accustomed to live entertainment, and they're really embracing comedy. And like Joe is such a great sun to orbit around over there too, and to gravitate towards. Like you have like the Michael Jordan of comedy in your hometown, and so whenever I was doing shows, there's this like level of appreciation out there. Like people would come up to you afterwards, and there's like this level of gratitude that is a little beyond what you get in LA or when you perform in other places. So that was kind of cool. But it was cool in the pandemic, but now that LA is opened up again and I'm back here, I just feel like there's more high caliber shows going on in LA. There's just more high quality shows that I can do, which is great if you're trying to it's great for writing and, for building material growth wise. And it depends on where you are in your comedy career. I think if you're a younger guy, it might make sense to go to Austin because there's less barriers of entry and the distance between the top and the bottom isn't as great.
Yeah, and there's a lot now. I mean, and I've heard, a lot of younger comedians that have just picked up and moved to Austin that, I was kind of surprised by where I thought they were in their, comedy journey to now move to Austin. It's, it sounds like it's a pretty smart move because there is good, great talent there now.
That is interesting that you said that the idea that younger comics, because the gap is like so much lower over there, that's better for comics to kind of go down there.
Yeah, and like if it's just about stage time, like I think that more and more shows it's in this growth phase as a city in so many different industries, and comedy is one of those as well. So I think you would be able to get up a lot more if you're a younger comic in Austin than say, because LA and New York it's a saturated city.
Right. Agreed on you wholeheartedly on that. I mean, Creek in the Cave just opened up down there with Rebecca, and then there's that. I think Joe Rogan's opening his place up soon, from what I've been told. And then what's the other venue that's been down there? Gaslight?
There's a couple. Vulcan Gas Company, and then there's this other one called the ATX Sunset Strip.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is there a town you miss playing in right now?
What, like in Austin?
No, a town like that from touring. Is there anyone that you want to go back to? I mean, listen, you're hitting the the laptop pretty hard from 9 to 5, churning out jokes.
Sure.
There's got to be some place that you're just like, I can't wait to go back and go enjoy myself and check into that Hilton across from
like it's not even about the shows, it's just about the Hiltons I check into. Like, I got to get back into that Hilton. I don't even like doing stand-up. I just love Conditioner. Probably, Comedy on State's always great. That's a great room, and it's a cool little college town. And I love going to the Tornado Room. It's just like such a great restaurant.
Where's Tornado? Where's Comedy on State? That's
Madison, Wisconsin.
Wow.
So there, and then Comedy Works is always great.
Sure.
And that's in Denver. I'm trying to think.
They run a freaking great place over there like that. When I was down there, like it's just like, even for a non-comic, like going down there, it's just like just the vibe feels cool. The staff is awesome, and it's like people are always ready down there. I mean, it's just like one of those great towns. I've heard
really savvy comedy audiences, and they've like trained their audience to just kind of like to trust the club. Like even though you may not know who the comic is, I think the patrons trust the club enough to know they know what they're doing, and they put on good shows.
Sure.
Yeah.
So how did you become such a good dancer?
That's a random little.
I love the segue on that one, by the
way.
We're fucking professionals over here at 10 o'clock at night on the East Coast.
anyone that follows your Instagram can't get, they obviously know that, you take pride in your dancing.
I don't know. It's just like, I don't know if I take pride. It's just like, I feel like every entertainer or comedian just uses everything in their bag. And like when I was a kid, I used to dance a lot and I would go to school dances and stuff. But then you enter the workforce and there's no place for that anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was working at Boeing Aerospace for 4 years. I'm not fucking busting out any moves. So you just bury that shit.
The holiday party.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing it. Just getting wasted and like head spinning. And then it's fucking weird at the photocopy machine the next day. So then I get into comedy full time. And the thing is, when you are a stand-up comedian, you don't worry about seeing people at work the next day. Like there is no break room where it's weird. If you can be a little more free as a like a creative spirit. Things you would never do with a day job, you will do when you're not tethered by the 9 to 5 or corporate America. So I would dance in these funny, sometimes I would just turn on the camera and dance and throw it up. Just like, why not? Some other times it would be in a humorous capacity. Like I would have a funny angle on the dancing, but it was this like seasoning that people seem to really enjoy. And it's just been a part of, like, I've embraced it and I won't shy away from it. It's like a part of my arsenal now where, and I like that sometimes as comedians, I think this is a problem with New York. Like I love New York, but I think sometimes
go ahead, shit talk it, baby. Come on, this is what it's for.
I don't want to shit talk, but like sometimes there are mentalities with certain cities, like certain patterns and like just because you're peers and stuff. And I think sometimes it's like all about who has the best joke, who has the most jokes, who's the most cutting and acerbic and all that stuff, and who looks the coolest while doing who's the coolest. Whereas sometimes you forget that you can paint with so many colors, and like sometimes you don't have to be funny. Sometimes something can just be entertaining, and that's enough, like when I do a dancing thing, it's not like I'm not blowing anyone's mind with words and I don't have the best angle on a topic, but like you can allow yourself to, like, something can be entertaining and that's enough.
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely entertaining. I think it's very funny, not like you're
he's fucking hating on your dancing.
No, I know what you mean. I know. Because I think some people wouldn't allow, like, even if they had the skill set, some people wouldn't allow themselves to do it because they're afraid of the perception or that's not cool to do.
Right.
Whereas I think if you remove that, it can be really, I don't know, enriching and you could flourish.
Yeah, all right, we got to throw it back here. Your middle school dance. It's a Friday night, 8 p.m. What's the song that's making you go on the dance floor? Do you remember?
Bro. All right, this is kind of like a two-pronged thing. So, because the initial question that was asked was like, how did I become good at dancing? Mm-hmm. And it was because when I was a kid, Michael Jackson was my shit.
Right.
Like,
okay.
I consumed everything. Like, I would record the music videos. I would slow it down. I would learn the dance from Beat It, like from the concert footage, or not Beat It, Billie Jean. Just that intro with the hat. And so, like, if Michael Jackson is your teacher, because what I do is not Michael, but like that's the foundation, like that's the DNA. Yep. And he's one of those dancers who he's like a vessel for the music. Like, he feels it. I've talked about dancing. Like I'm really passionate about this. Like,
no, it's good. I love it.
I'll watch people dance, and like they're regurgitating moves, like they're doing 1, 2, 3. They're doing steps, but they don't feel it in their fucking bones and soul. Like when I watch people who are just an extension of the music and they like feel it, like I care about feel more than anything else.
Got it.
And you could tell when someone is like feeling the music. So yeah, the school dances, if Michael Jackson came out, because I would do it for talent shows and stuff. So if like Beat It came on or any Michael Jackson song came, the whole school was trying to find me to like get me on the dance floor.
The circle opens up.
The circle, and sometimes I wouldn't want to, and I would like have to run away. I would have to like hide in the bushes and shit.
Wow.
Because I didn't want to do it every time.
I mean, come on. I mean, we're coming up to the Halloween, the fall season. I mean, Thriller. I mean, you have to know the whole Thriller. Man. That's
Nah,
down
Billie
pat?
Jean was my jam. That was the dance. That was
Okay.
the one that I mastered. The one that I mastered.
You have the hat? Do you have the glove? Like,
I mean, I didn't bring a fucking fedora to the dance. Like I
Yeah,
have
I
a
mean,
glove
come on,
and a
dude, we
hat,
can't
and I'm
do
like,
that.
guys, I don't want to do it. All right, I don't want to do it. Even though I have a glittery glove and a fedora, I'm like, guys, I just came to chat with my friends.
give me the backpack.
But it's funny you say
$3
that I'm a
sodas
good-
and $2 bags of chips.
I feel like my dancing is a Rorschach test because some people think it's amazing, and then some people think it's the worst thing in the world. It's so funny. Because like what's interesting is every time like I post a dancing video, Leslie Jones will always repost it. She'll repost it on her Instagram and she'll repost it on her Twitter.
Now,
And
is she doing it being like, look at this funny motherfucker and thinks
it's
that he can
interesting
dance?
because I think she really likes it because she
Uh-huh.
keeps on like posting it each time. And I think one of them she did say she liked it, but like she'll always frame it like oh look at like this boy needs help or whatever. And then when you add that perspective to it, all the comments are like, yeah, this guy sucks, or oh man. Like, but then some people are like, I don't know what you guys are talking. I thought it was pretty good.
So when you post stuff and you now assume that she's going to repost it, are you thinking like, all right, I got to really step out into this one because Leslie's going to post this and I'm going to get murdered on what these comments are going to be?
No, not really, because like I still gain like 1,000 followers, no matter what she does. So
I mean, listen, all right. So Michael Jackson, number one. What do we think
Yeah.
of like Usher? I mean, Usher's up there with. I mean,
Usher's
as far
up
as
there.
feeling the music.
Yeah, Usher's up there.
Have you seen Genuine in concert?
Come on.
I have not. How does he feel?
Bro, you got
Bro.
You have to if there's like a 90s throwback concert, like I don't know, at the Troubadour or something stupid like that, or the Hollywood
Yeah.
Bowl, fucking you gotta go see like it's a whole it's an experience, when Genuine hits the stage. And it's not even just and he saves Pony for last. Like he does like a 30 minutes, but Pony is at the end, and something just like takes over. I mean, I don't know. I have to put Genuine on the Mount Rushmore. Number 4, I'm going to give it to NSYNC. I'm going to give it to NSYNC.
All right, all of them.
Yeah, even the
Joey Fatone
airline.
Joey Fatone's up there.
Hell yeah, Joey Fatone. He was in my big fat Greek wedding. It was me. He's like.
Oh, I forgot about. Okay, yeah, you're right. That counts.
Joint now. Come on.
Lance was up. Lance could dance, and I mean, that one guy that was up front, Justin Timberlake. He's
John's forcing this down our throats. I don't agree. But where do you go after Michael Jackson?
What in the pantheon of dancing greats?
Yeah, I mean, Mount Rushmore in your face right now, Fahim. Who are you putting up there? I mean, a simple question.
Well, like for as much as I love dance, I'm not like a great student of it. I don't have these deep cuts that I would put up there. But like, let's see. I guess Mr. Wiggles. I used to watch. You remember Mr. Wiggles?
Mr. Wiggles? No,
because I used to watch breakdancing shit. Like, but he was a popper. So Mr. Wiggles used to blow. Yeah. Like he would just do like crazy waves and stuff. And so Mr. Wiggles blew my mind. Yeah, Michael Jackson's up there.
You gotta see the stuff on America's Got Talent, like the Jabberwockies, like those. Like, I mean, Joe Coy had a whole segment in one of his special just dedicated to fucking breakdancing.
Yeah. Who else? And I mean, obviously he has his problems, but I would say Chris Brown is up there.
What'd he do?
Oh, you don't know?
I'm kidding.
Which time?
Got a basketball league?
What's that?
Chris Brown has a basketball team. Like
nice.
I watched it. I just happened to be flipping through channels yesterday and stumbled on Chris Brown playing basketball, like professional basketball.
Okay. Is that what the people want to see?
I don't know. I don't know who wants to see it. It was very odd. But anyway, speaking of Chris Brown. So what's besides writing on the show, like are you prepping like a next hour? Like what's happening from here, like stand-up wise?
Yeah, pretty much. I kind of am prepping the next hour. So I think I think it's Laughs in Boston.
Right. Oh, are you?
Yeah.
It's right on the water. That's awesome.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I haven't done it. I heard it's great. So I can't wait to do that. So I'll be able to, because I've been running the hour multiple weekends and stuff.
Right.
So that'll maybe be the last one before I get around shooting it. And then I think I'm going to shoot it in New York. So
Sick.
I'm excited about that. But yeah, I'm working towards the next hour.
Oh, that's awesome.
I
So,
mean, you're trying it out in Boston. Boston. There's a place, food-wise. I don't know. Are you a seafood guy?
Oh yeah, man.
All right. So Eventide, which Greg and I love, which is out and up in Maine, they've got one also in Boston. It is one of the best lobster rolls that you'll ever have in your life.
Oh, nice.
Like,
Okay.
Sorry, we'll get into food later. Sorry, Greg. My apologies.
no, it's okay. I was curious where you were going with that. But no, we can get into food now. But I do want to, like, your parents, like, do they now that you're writing on a show on major network, do they now, if they should, like, consider you Tom Cruise? Like, are you at that?
I don't know about Tom Cruise, but I think they're content now. My dad is the last one to fall,
Right.
Like it was first, my brother was like locked in from the jump. Like he was locked in long ago. And then my mom came around when I took her to the premiere of Whiskey Tango Foxtrot in New York. So she got to meet Tina Fey and everybody. So I took her to like a red carpet, and like she was fine after that. And then my dad is just so nuts and bolts. He understands money. He understands money and just sitting in a chair for 8 hours. So this writing job, he can wrap his head around because it feels like familiar to him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you think will bring him around? Would it be like, I don't know.
Well, they're around now. I think just the freelance wheeling and dealing nature of stand-up and the mercenary lifestyle is too foreign and unstable in his mind to really write off on it. But work, like going to Warner Brothers Monday through Friday, having an office, sitting in a chair, getting a lunch, like that feels like something he knows.
You left Boeing to what? Tell jokes?
Yeah.
Is that kind of the conversation
Kind of.
that happened
I'm
first?
like, but Dad, now I write jokes in an office setting. And he's like, oh, okay. We have a coffee machine?
Did you send a picture of your parking spot with your name on the plaque?
No, maybe I'll do that.
Do that.
I wonder if that'll move the needle for them at all.
I mean,
A parking spot.
doctors and people on movie set, lots have their name on plaques. So.
Well, that's a good point. I'll frame it like that.
Right. All right, John, get to your food.
All right, I got to ask. We always ask what, obviously I alluded to it. I'm a big food guy, love food in New York City, some of the best food in the world. But I love talking to comedians that are touring and who are around. Like, what is the best thing that they've had to eat? So we decided we'd break it down a little bit more, and we just ask you a question, which is, what was the best thing you had to eat this week?
Damn. You know what? I made a steak. I'm gonna take the credit. I made a steak yesterday.
Boom. Yes, that's the first time that somebody's taken claim to this.
I'll take claim. I'll take credit. Yeah, I really outdid myself.
What'd you do on the steak? What kind of cut was it?
All right, so it was a ribeye, right, from Gelson's. I paid a little more. It was a nice little piece of meat,
Well,
I'm a writer now. I can do that. Yeah, it was
absolutely,
big.
baby. You got the Warner Brothers money.
Yeah, prices don't scare me anymore. Daddy wants what he wants.
Bone in? Was it bone in?
Yeah. No, there's no bone. There's no bone.
See, that's
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Quick.
Old
easy.
me, I would need 1 digit to buy that steak. This was 2 digits, and I still did it.
Nice.
Good for
Now,
you.
what did we do? We do a cast iron skillet here. Did we use a
Bro, this
frying
is
pan?
like futuristic. This is a new technique that I've whipped up. I don't think it's very commonplace. It may be, some people might say blasphemous, but it works. It worked for me. I'm gonna pitch it. You can try it. I might get some hate, but it involves an air fryer. All right.
I knew it. I knew you were
Hear me
going.
out. Hear me out though. Hear me out. All right. So I have sea salt. All right. I have kosher sea salt. Sprinkle it on one side. Cracked pepper. All right. Put that on there. Do the same on the other side. Put the air fryer at 400 on grill. I have grill plates. It's a ninja foodie. All right. I set it for 6 minutes, 3 minutes on each side. That's just to kind of like get the pepper and the salt combined on the layer of, and I've got the pan going. I have the cast iron skillet. I've got it going. All right. Getting it hot. I've got butter on this, a knob of butter on the side. I've got rosemary. I've got crushed garlic. All right. So once it's almost pretty much done in the air fryer, I've got the butter going on the hot skillet. I've got the rosemary in there. I've got the garlic. Now I transfer it to the pan. It's sizzling and shit. I'm bathing my boy. All right. I'm bathing him.
There you go.
Basting him. Got a big spoon. I'm just drizzling it. All right. For about a minute, 40 seconds, whatever, eyeballing it. Flip that shit with tongs. Bathe him again. All right. Put him on his side. Render the fat. I do that. All right. I cut into it to a point that I like it. I got a feel for it at this point. Let it sit for a while. I've got the tots going in the air fryer as well. I've got a kale salad that's already made.
Juice? Are we leaving the juice from the steak?
We're leaving the juice.
My dude. Yes.
So what's your temperature? We got to talk temperature.
For what? The steak?
For the steak. What are you cooking at? Medium rare?
I do a medium.
Okay, that's great. That's
some people do, they say medium rare is the only way to do it. It's a little there's too much give for me.
Yeah, in my 20s, I was like black and blue, Pittsburgh blue, like seared on the outside, inside's rare. In my 30s now, and I'm like, no, let's go with medium. I'm fine with medium.
Yeah, the medium rare. I mean, I love medium rare, but it's tough. Like
I feel like my teeth are doing too much work with the medium rare.
Sure. True.
Really have.
So I heard tots. Did we get a veggie side as well for this?
Well, that's what the pre-made kale salad from Gelson's is. It's called Jessica's kale salad. It's got sunflower seeds. It's got feta, I believe. It's just like pre-made.
Little hack that I do with the pre-made salads. I put everything, like I keep, how like it's you open it up and there's the lettuce and there's like individual bags. I put all the dry ingredients first, keep it in the bag. And then I pour the dressing over it, shake that all up in the bag itself. So no waste. I don't have to do a bowl or anything like that. Little thing.
Everything is coated perfectly.
Yes. You blow a little air on top of it, shake it around. Yeah, that's how I do it. I mean, I get it. You're living single. I mean, that's a little life hack that I was going to just tell all of our viewers, our listeners out there as well.
That's amazing.
Sounds like a hell of a good Sunday dinner, lunch.
It's dope. That's dope. I always say this, I hate going to steakhouses because I always know that I can do it better. And I have to say, that is the perfect, I was a little nervous, but I've seen the air fryer before. I thought you were going to be like, I sous vide'd it for like 3 hours.
Oh man, no.
I got real excited.
This remedies a problem that I was having with when I was just doing before I would do cast iron skillet and then I would finish in the oven.
Okay, a little reverse sears.
Yeah. But the trouble is whenever I would season it and I'd put it on the pan, the shit would just peel off on the pan. So the air fryer, once I get it going, I don't have that problem because now it's one.
Right.
That's solid. I like that. I'm gonna try a steak actually in the air fryer. I have an air fryer as well. I'm gonna try it.
And it's faster because the oven is just bigger. It takes longer to get going. Just the air fryer. I mean, to get it going in 6 minutes, that's nothing.
Yeah.
My trick with steak, if I'm gonna grill it like on a barbecue outside, is I'll wrap the steak in tinfoil and just put it on the top layer of a grill and let it heat for 10 minutes, right? And all the juice sits in there and it just bakes into the meat, and then I'll put it on the grill.
Sure. It's almost like a braising situation over there. I don't know. I pulled out the smoker today. I think I'm going to start smoking some stuff. Just to kind of back off of your steak. Last steak I had, took my boy Justin Randall. He broke up with his boyfriend. I was like, I'm going to take you out to dinner. He just stopped eating. He stopped eating meat like about a year ago. And he's like, I'm ready to eat steak again. His last steak was with me. So I was like, screw it. We went to Quality Italian up on 48 or 58th. Got the tomahawk over there. All right. This is my issue with steaks being cooked at other restaurants. If you're cooking a tomahawk, it should not be on a grill. So it's got that flavor of that charcoal on it. I don't want to taste that. I want a nice pan sear on that. So that's what I had. But that wasn't the best thing I ate this week. They also have a chicken parm pizza. Now, it may sound simple, but there's no crust. They take 3 chicken breasts and they pound it down to get this thin kind of layer of almost like a pizza crust. They coat it, fry it, bake it with sauce and cheese on top. They serve it with like a spicy honey and arugula salad. That was the best thing I have eaten this week so
Why
far.
isn't that chicken parmesan?
What? It is a chicken parmesan, but it's a chicken parm pizza.
Have you had the naked chicken taco from Taco Bell?
No, wait,
Because it's
what?
reminiscent of that. It's basically a taco where the shell is chicken breast that's been pounded down. You feel like God is gonna smite us all once you eat that. Like, well, I just think it's so crazy that we're not allowed to eat shell. Like that's in the Bible, stuff like shellfish. But he said nothing about the naked chicken taco. Like that's more of an abomination to God than anything else.
It's like that Louis C.K. bit, and he's like, what's all this black stuff? Oil? What'd you use it for? To go fast? I gave you feet.
Yeah.
Dude, Fahim, thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah,
Appreciate it,
no
man.
problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Where can we find? Where can our listeners find you on social media, man?
Instagram, Fahim Anwar, Twitter, Fahim Anwar, and then YouTube, Fahim Anwar as well. And then TikTok, I couldn't get that. So I think I'm fahimanwar.comedy. Yeah, and then I have a podcast too called Fahim Anwar Dance Hour. So check that out.
Yeah, man. Hopefully we can get you on some of our LA shows soon enough.
Yeah. Running some stuff with ATC. We just had our first one last Thursday, which was a fucking blast. We had TJ Miller stop by, Matthew Broussard was there, Dulce Sloan. But yeah, we're gonna start. We're doing them out in LA now. Thanks,
Nice.
Greg. And we'll be out there too. We'll be out in LA soon, right?
Yep, we're jamming the van.
Oh, cool. I'm doing that Friday.
Are you doing it
their new location? Yeah.
inside or outside? The inside
I
one?
think it's inside.
Yeah, I think they just opened inside.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting because that was a fun show during the pandemic. That was kind of the only place that was open.
Right.
It was that, and then Matt Rife had his show that I went to a couple of times.
Right. Yeah.
And then I was running stuff at West Hollywood. And
What-
then
Is it
what
your
was
show
that steak?
Friday? Is it your show or is because who else does a big show there?
No, it's a long time no see. They're producing it, so I think Ian Edwards is on it as well. So I'm just like on the bill.
All right. Yeah, that should be fun. But I'm looking forward to doing it.
Well, dude, sick for him. If you guys are in the Boston area, make sure you go check him out. Laugh Boston, super solid spot right on the water. If you get too drunk, you can just stay at the hotel that's right above you too.
Oh, nice.
Fucking Daniel Roll.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, dudes. Thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate
Yeah.
it. See you
Of course.
soon.
Thanks, man.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
Later.
Peace.